this is Jenny from Homestead Corner, and today I'm going to go over the type of equipment you need to start canning. Alright, so I've had a couple of requests for videos on what kind of equipment do you need to start canning. So the first thing, I guess we'll start with water bath, because that is the easiest, least expensive way to start, in my opinion. So if you have to buy all this stuff brand new and you're going to do it all at once, you've got to be prepared to lay down some cash. It's not cheap to get started, but once you have the equipment and the jars, then you save tons and tons of money. It is well worth the investment, in my opinion. So to start with, I would definitely highly recommend starting with one of the Ball Blue books, because it has all the guidelines in here. It has pre-approved recipes. And if you've never canned before, I would definitely start by going by their recipes, because they're USDA approved, and there really is some great stuff in here. So there are a bunch of different Ball books, and I'll put a few down below. This just happens to be one that I had handy. This is just the Blue Book Guide to Preserving over 500 recipes in this book. And I think it's, well, I'm not sure what it costs. I'll put it down below so you can check it out though, in the description box. There's always links from whatever's in the video down there, so if you want to check it out. So like blueberry lemon jam, cherry jam. When you water bath can, you're going to be doing your high acid foods. So like I have blackberry balsamic vinegar here, glaze, and then zucchini relish. Any of your pickles, relishes, they have the vinegar in them, so they're really high acid. You don't have to worry. Water bath canning is fine for those. Also, a lot of your fruits, lemons, oranges. This is pineapple. There are tons of different fruits if you want to make pie fillings, stuff like that. A lot of those are high enough acid to water bath can. So when you're working with your high acid foods, water bath canning is the way to go. So all you're going to need is a canner. And I was raised to do what you can with what you have. So if you have a large pot, you are almost there. You just need a rack for the inside. And you can buy, like I have here, this canning rack. You can buy these racks to go inside your canner. You can put it on the counter to cool your jars down. You can put it in the canner to boil when you're in there. But this has got little ridges on it, so your jar fits in there and it's not going anywhere when it's inside the canner, because it's going to be boiling and it's going to bubble. And so your jars might be a little jumpy in there, and it's got little rubber things so they're not banging against each other. And this really helps. I have even canned with a clean cloth in the bottom just to keep them off the bottom, because you want the water to go underneath them and all around them while it's boiling. So having one of these racks is great. If you want to spring the 40 bucks for a Ball canner, or 80 bucks, or I'm not even sure what they go for right now because the prices are changing so fast. But you can get one of these canners in a complete kit. That's one way to go. If you're not sure if you're going to like it, a large pot and one of these racks, that's how I would start. And I started with what I had kicking around. I think I used a cake rack when I first started, because that's what I had. And that's how I was raised. Do what you can with what you got. But a water bath canner, you're going to fill this so the water is 1 inch above the jars when they're sitting in there. You want 1 inch of water above that. So in addition to the water bath canner, you're going to need some jar tongs. These are super handy. You just You can pick the jars right up out of the water. You don't have to put your hands in the boiling hot water to get your jars out. These are a must. They're not expensive. A lot of times you can buy a kit and you will get the jar grabber, a magnet lid picker-upper thing. It's just a little magnet and you pick up your lids. Back in the earlier days of canning, the lids were required to heat them up in hot water so that the seal would get gummy, but Ball has changed the lids, and I believe Kerr has too, and you no longer are required to heat them up, so you could just put them just wash them and put them on. They can be cold, but I still heat them up because that's how I learned and I'm comfortable with that method. So, and then I use an orange peeler because that's what I have, or you can use a skewer, or if you buy a kit, a lot of times it will come with a debubbler, which is just a little plastic stick. You're going to stick it down in and move everything around in there to make sure you get your air bubbles out, and that so that your head space is adjusted properly for each one. So, and then if you want to can low acid foods like carrots, green beans, corn, your vegetables, meat, soups, things like that. If you want to can those types of things, you're going to need a pressure canner. This is an all-American canner, and I just got this recently a few months ago, and I love it. But I started off with this Miro over here, and these are really inexpensive. If you're not 100% sure that you love canning, I would start with a Miro or a Presto. They're around $80. And then if you love canning, those work great. I used this thing for 8 years. It's still in great condition. I still use it. I had both these canners on the stove the other day processing some chicken. So I still use my old canner, but I like this new canner because it doesn't have a seal in it. It's metal to metal. And this has a pressure gauge. The Presto is going to have a pressure gauge, and it shows you how much pressure there is. And there's also a weight here. So you put the right weight for your elevation. Each elevation, if you are under 1,000 feet, you're going to use 10 pounds of pressure. If you're over 1,000 feet, I believe you use 15 pounds of pressure. But you're going to want to check that with your local co-op to be sure if you're not 100% sure. And then this has 2 racks in it, so you can put 2 layers of pints. They will fit on top of each other in there. Or you can put just one layer of quartz. So your low acid foods, you need this pressure canner. But for your high acid foods, pickles, relish, fruits, things like that, water bath. And I started with water bath canning, and then once I felt really comfortable, I jumped up to pressure canning, and now after a while, when you get comfortable, you'll be able to use your own recipes, switch things up. You'll start to feel what's safe and what's not. So, but when you first start, I absolutely, definitely recommend grabbing a Ball Blue book. An old one, a new one, it doesn't matter. They're all approved recipes in here, and they tell you, you know, every step of the way. So I think this is a must-have for a new canner. And then once you get going, before you know it, you'll have so many jars, they'll be everywhere. And on your jars, when you buy jars, when I can meats, I like to can my meats in 1 pint wide mouth jars. You'll see there's 2 different size lids. You have the regular lid over here, and you have a wide mouth lid over here. I use the wide mouth for my meats because they come out, it's like in a chunk if you raw pack it. It comes out in a big chunk, and it just slides right out because they're straight-sided jars, and I like that. But the stuff that comes out easy out of the small mouth, my veggies, soups, jellies, fruits, things like that, smaller stuff, I don't mind using small mouth for that. But I think that covers the equipment that you have to have. There's not a lot of stuff you have to have, and some things you can do with what you have at home. But these are a must, definitely. Jar tongs. And you need a big pot with some kind of rack in the bottom or a specific canner. It really doesn't matter. You're boiling water. As long as it's tall enough, the pot needs to be tall enough to make sure you have an inch of water above your jars. That is the major thing. I've used all kinds of pots, any pot. Big ones, little ones, whatever I was working on, I was like, oh, this'll do. But you get used to it after a while and you don't really, you're not so fussy about it, I guess. But that's it. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.